Hey everyone, welcome back to FactSpire. Today we're diving into one of the greatest mysteries on Earth, the deep ocean. Picture this, a world so dark, so vast, and so alien that it makes outer space feel almost familiar by comparison. Over 70% of our planet is covered by water, yet we've explored less than 5% of what lies beneath the surface. That's right, we know more about the moon than we do about the crushing depths right here at home. So what's down there? What secrets are hiding in the abyss? Buckle up because we're about to take a wild ride through mind-blowing facts, eerie history, and science that'll make your jaw drop. Let's get started. Imagine you're sinking past the sunlit waves, down where the light fades away. Around 1,000 meters, you hit a twilight zone, a realm of perpetual dusk where bioluminescent creatures start to glow like something out of a sci-fi movie. Keep going, and by 4,000 meters, you're in complete darkness. No light, no plants, just pure void. The pressure down here? Insane. It's like having 50 jumbo jets stacked on top of you. Yet, life thrives. How? Scientists call it adaptation, but it's more like nature's ultimate survival hack. Take the giant squid, for instance. This elusive monster can grow over 40 feet long, with eyes the size of dinner plates to spot prey in the dark. We've only filmed it in its natural habitat a handful of times, and every glimpse feels like a victory. Then there's the anglerfish, with its glowing lure dangling like a creepy fisherman's bait. These creatures aren't just surviving, they're ruling a world we can barely comprehend. And get this, the deepest part of the ocean, a trench in the Pacific, plunges to nearly 11,000 meters. That's 7 miles down. If you dropped the tallest mountain on Earth into it, the peak would still be over a mile underwater. Wrap your head around that. But it's not just the depth that's wild, it's the chemistry. Picture superheated water spewing from the seafloor, loaded with minerals creating chimney-like structures. The water can hit 400 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead, yet it doesn't boil because of the insane pressure. Around these vents, entire ecosystems thrive on chemicals, not sunlight. Tube worms, some over 6 feet long, have no mouths or guts. They let bacteria inside their bodies convert sulfur into energy. It's like alien life, right here on Earth. Speaking of Earth, let's shift gears and explore the history locked in those depths. The ocean isn't just a science lab, it's a graveyard. Thousands of shipwrecks litter the seafloor, each with a story. One famous liner, sunk over 100 years ago, is probably the most well-known. But did you know it's slowly disappearing? Bacteria called extremophiles are eating the steel, turning it into rusticles that look like icicles. Scientists estimate it'll be completely gone in a few decades. Time doesn't spare even the legends. Then there's a mysterious stretch of water where over 50 ships and 20 planes have vanished since the 1800s. Some blame rogue waves, walls of water up to 100 feet tall that can swallow a vessel whole. Others point to methane gas bubbles rising from the seafloor, reducing water density and sinking ships like they're falling through air. No one's cracked it yet, but the deep keeps those answers buried. And here's a chilling one. Off Japan's coast, divers found massive stone structures underwater, some with steps and terraces, sunken for thousands of years. Is it a natural formation or a forgotten civilization swallowed by rising seas after the last ice age? Experts argue, but the ocean isn't talking. It's a time capsule, preserving history we might never fully understand. Let's dive back into the wild side of nature, because the deep ocean is home to some of the weirdest creatures imaginable. Ever heard of a squid that flips inside out? It's got this cloak of webbed arms covered in glowing spots, and when threatened, it wraps itself in a spooky shield. Scientists call it a living fossil because it's barely changed in millions of years. The deep moves at its own pace. Or how about a shark that looks like a nightmare eel, with 300 needle-like teeth in 25 rows? It's been around since the dinosaurs, lurking in the shadows. We rarely see it because it prefers depths around 1,000 meters. When fishermen haul one up by accident, it's like pulling a time traveler from the past. And don't sleep on a certain gelatinous fish. Up here, it looks like a sad, gooey mess. But down at 3,000 meters, the pressure keeps it sleek. It doesn't swim much, just floats, slurping up whatever drifts by. Nature doesn't care about looks. It's all about function. These animals prove the deep isn't just a void, it's a thriving, freaky wonderland. Okay, let's stretch our minds even further. The deep ocean might seem far removed from space, but there's a wild connection. Scientists think Earth's water, including the oceans, came from comets and asteroids billions of years ago. Those icy travelers smashed into our young planet, seeding it with H2O. So, in a way, the deep is a gift from the cosmos, but it gets crazier. The conditions down there? They're a blueprint for life beyond Earth. Those chemical vents I mentioned earlier? They're like labs for a theory where life might have started from chemicals mixing in the dark. Space agencies study them to figure out what to look for on moons orbiting distant planets, which might have subsurface oceans. If we find tube worms or bacteria down here, could something similar be hiding out there? The deep ocean is our training ground for the stars. And here's a fun one. Some meteors that hit Earth end up in the abyss. Nickel-iron fragments from space have been found on the sea floor, carried down by currents over eons. The ocean's a cosmic collector, holding pieces of the universe we'd never see otherwise. Now, how do we know all this? Technologies are a lifeline to the deep. Submersibles made history over 60 years ago, carrying 2 guys to the ocean's deepest point. It took 5 hours to descend, and they only stayed 20 minutes because the pressure cracked a window. Gutsy, right? Today we've got remotely operated vehicles with cameras and arms mapping the seafloor in stunning detail. In recent years, they've found everything from new species to sunken warships. But it's slow going. The ocean's so massive that even our best tech covers just a fraction. Satellites help too, bouncing signals off the surface to map underwater mountains. But they can't see the fine print. Then there's sonar, pinging sound waves to detect objects. It's how we found that famous liner, but it's also stirred up mysteries. Back in the 1990s, researchers picked up a noise, a massive, ultra-low-frequency sound from the Pacific depths. Was it a giant creature? An iceberg cracking? Theories flew, but we still don't know. Tech reveals the deep, but it also teases us with questions. Finally, let's talk about us. Why are we so drawn to the deep ocean? Psychologically, it's a mix of fear and fascination. The dark, the pressure, the isolation. It taps into primal instincts. Experts say we're wired to fear the unknown, because it might have kept our ancestors alive. A cave could hide a predator, a shadow could be a threat, the deep amplifies that times 1,000. But it's not just fear, it's curiosity. Humans crave exploration. When we conquered land, we looked to the skies and the seas. The ocean's the last frontier on Earth, a place where anything could be lurking. That's why tales of sea monsters persist, from ancient legends to giant sharks. Even if science debunks them, the what if keeps us hooked. It's the same urge that drives us to watch this video. We want to know, even if it spooks us. And here's the kicker, the deep humbles us. It's a reminder that we're small, that there's so much we don't control. Studies show people feel awe when faced with vastness, like staring at a starry sky. The ocean's the ultimate dose of that. It's unsettling, but it's also inspiring. So, what's down there? Life that defies logic, history frozen in time, clues to the cosmos, and tech pushing boundaries, all wrapped in a darkness we're only starting to pierce. The deep ocean isn't just water, it's a puzzle with pieces scattered across science, nature, and our own minds. Every dive, every discovery pulls us closer, but the full picture? That's still out of reach. Thanks for sticking with me on this journey. If you love this dive into the abyss, hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments. What's your favorite deep sea mystery? Until next time, keep exploring because the unknown's where the good stuff hides. See you soon.